Our beloved
All right,
Sergio.
we
I love
we
that
we
Mikey.
live. We live right now,
Cool.
live on location.
Cool.
Welcome
Okay.
to the Super Bowl post game live stream of the Av podcast. I'm joined by friends of the podcast, Roger Calendar, as well as Micah Hyatt. How you guys doing today?
Good, good.
I was doing
Um,
well up to about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes ago. I was doing pretty well, Calvin.
yeah,
For
you
that
know
last
what's
touchdown.
you know what's crazy about all this? Like, I'm actually really proud of my maturity. I'm proud of my maturity because I thought right now I'd be punching the punching the TV screen, you know what I mean, kicking over the computer,
Covered in
tell, tell,
tears.
telling y'all to go F yourselves. That might still happen. That might still happen. But
Drowning in your tears, Calvin.
yeah, possibly that. But I'm not in a good space. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not in a good space. What was the final score? 25-22. I don't even know who won. Who won the MVP? I don't even know. I just
Right?
moved
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah.
TV. I have no
They're
idea.
gonna give it to Mahomes. Who else are they gonna
Yeah,
give it to? They have to give
yeah.
it
It's
to
good. It's good. It's definitely going to Mahomes. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No interceptions. Two
Nope.
touchdown passes.
He had one pick. Remember, he had one
Oh
pick.
yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. But
Yeah.
two touchdowns, one pick. He started
333 yards.
running. He started running the ball. Yeah, it's got to go to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Once again, I mean, Mahomes was Mahomes. We all
Yeah.
knew it. We all saw
Exactly.
it. I had
Yep.
shades of watching the Super Bowl with Tom Brady when literally they're in overtime. They have like 15 seconds left, and he just drives down the field and he wins. That's
Yeah.
exactly what Mahomes did. Like, I'm not
Yep.
surprised by it. Not in a bit. Like,
Yep.
I'm still pissed over Moody missing that extra point. That
Oh.
really pissed me
No.
off. Because I'm
So
like, that's an easy kick. This guy made 68 in a row, and
did
then
you?
you miss
So
out the points, and it's like, oh, god damn.
Roger, Cal. Was it only me? But did he was missing that kick regardless if it got blocked or not? Because it
That's
went
too low.
right hard.
It
Like
did.
the trajectory of that ball, it wasn't. It was like,
It was way
and
too
it
low.
didn't look like he slipped.
No,
It looked like a normal plant and follow through, but he hooked right off the line.
that ball had no chance, man. And it's like, man, at all the times, if they were up by 4 points, they would have forced the Chiefs to either go for. They had to get a touchdown on that final play, like that last series, right
Exactly.
before they went to overtime. Instead, they kicked the field goal and they went into overtime. Once they went into overtime, I knew it was over because I was like,
Well, I'll,
it's
I'll be
Mahomes.
honest. People kept hitting me up and asking me like, "Yo, like, are you feeling? Are you nervous? You know what I mean? Especially like as the game going on in the fourth quarter." I was actually hold on a second. I forgot something. Hold on. Take my drink here. Um,
I think you need something stronger, Cal. It's not going to hit
where,
the
where,
spot.
where,
I'm
where's the red light?
get the bottle. I'm gonna get the
Okay.
bottle just now.
Break out
It's
the
happening.
scotch, the rum, whatever you got, bro.
You need some Rivers or you need some Ray nephew.
Some rain
Something
that
Yeah,
to numb the pain.
burn
it's
the
coming.
pain away, man.
I'm gonna take some Ray nephew and if I can find some punching, I'm gonna put it inside of this Heineken
Oh
cup
jeez.
right now. I'm
Oh
gonna try.
jeez. That's oh boy. Oh
no,
man.
no, but you know what? Like I kept hearing as I'm seeing Travis Kelce getting hugged by Taylor Swift. Um, I was I was surprisingly calm pretty much the whole time. Like even when it was going into overtime, like I'm getting calls like a Texas like, "Hey, how you feeling?" I'm like, you know what? I actually feel pretty good. I feel pretty good right now.
And why was that?
And I'll tell you when I started getting nervous, right? For the first time in the game, I got nervous on that last drive, and I was just sitting there like, "Oh shit!" Like, yo, this could this be it? And I felt my stomach start to get queasy. What made me
Mm.
officially get nervous is when it was, I think, third down on one of the drives on our last drive. But it was third down, and they panned the camera over to Mahomes, and Mahomes had a smirk on his face. And I said, "Oh fuck." that right there, I said, "Excuse me." That right there, I said, "Oh no." That made me nervous. That made me a little bit nervous right there.
Listen, they had their opportunities. They did. They literally did everything that they needed to do. Right? They
Yeah.
switched up the defense. They mixed up. They were covered. They were going into zone and then flipping to man. You know, they had at one point they had the team so rattled. They had Mahomes rattled. Kelsey's yelling at Andy Reid. Like they
Yeah.
had them. They had them throughout the whole flipping game.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, the turnovers, even with the turnovers, I still feel like they were right there up to the end. But then, man, I knew if they went into overtime, I just had a sinking feeling. I was like, they're not going to beat Mahomes in overtime, man. They're not. Because at the end of the day, they still have Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy is still going against Mahomes. And that's basically what it boils down to. You
Yeah.
know, both defenses were gassed. You know, Mahomes always makes some big plays at the most opportune times. Purdy missed, you know, he missed some key passes. Like, I
He
mean,
did.
Yeah, he did. He had.
um,
I can't lie. He was looking at points, even though he seemed composed. His
Yeah.
deliveries made it seem like he had the jitters in his arm. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the passes weren't coming out with that fluidity that you know of a professional
You know, what he
quarterback,
comes out with, right?
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But you know what? Like the testament to what Roger's saying, like it's like so true that like I was going off that the narrative of this game was going to be rigged sports because they've changed how they call sports now. It's now entertainment, right?
It is.
And
It
so
is.
when you start to see bodies dropping from the 49ers and things looking like it's playing out to a potentially of a script, you're like, what's really going on here? But
Mhm.
Roger, you're 100% right. When you see like if you're a real football fan and you understand the sport, there was real life, real time adjustments made
Yeah.
to make sure stops were happening, and that's what was happening, right? And
Yeah.
then because the 49ers started to get into a more of a man defense, and they stopped remembering to spy Mahomes, he started running.
Exactly. He took advantage.
So exactly. So it can't be rigged. It's chess.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so you've been playing zone, so you've been stopping us from running because you had somebody spying on me. Now you've left off. You let us alone, and now I can run. Okay, thank you. This is what I've been waiting for.
He was taking off, man. Yeah.
Right? And the thing is, they didn't. The Chiefs didn't do that with the 49ers
Right.
because Brock never got a chance. He got 2 runs and that was it because they knew that if they allowed Brock to start running, he was going to hurt them as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So, man, you know what? Honestly, for a game that I really didn't care about, this was a very good game. It wasn't like a.
It was
It was a
excellent.
really good game. Like it was good defensively. It was good offensively. It was just like a real like.
It was a great game because I like even though for most of it was a defensive battle, like
Yeah.
we kept saying, like even in the past podcast, we kept saying like the game's gonna be won on the lines, right? And shout out to Carrie Joseph, that was one of our guests on the last pod, but he nailed it because he was like, defensively, it's the defensive line is gonna win this game on either side,
Yep.
and he had it right. Like Eric Armstead was for the Niners was probably the MVP of the line. And I think on Kansas City, I mean, there was a few guys you could have gone to, but I think Nick Holden was the other guy. I think Bolden, was the other guy that had a bunch of tackles, a bunch of assisted tackles, and like he did his job. Like his job was amazingly done. And we've been around sports enough when like when there's games like this where points are hard to come by. Like you got to control the mistakes. And I felt like the Niners, and that's what made me nervous. Like the Niners, they made too many mistakes. A little bit. Not like they made a ton, but they made a little bit too many mistakes, and they didn't capitalize on Kansas City's. Because there was a point in time where I was like, if Kansas, if I think it was one point in time where it was like 7-0 or 10-0 at the point or whatever, and I'm like, if San Fran could just score a TD here, I'm like, I think this game is over. We just got to get this TD. If we can get this, if we can get to 2 touchdowns, I'm like, it's over. I think we got this.
Yeah, the defense was.
But we just couldn't get to that hump to get that extra TD. Just couldn't do it.
Yep.
They just kept holding the line on us, So I gotta give, like, I'm mad. Don't get me wrong. I'm mad and I'm still drinking. But I feel like, honestly, like, it was a great game, and I think at this point in time, I'm like, I got to give props to Kansas City's defense, man. Like, they held it down.
They held it,
but they held it a little bit longer than we did. Which hurts, but they did.
Kansas City's defense did a masterful job, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like, they were able to, McCaffrey ran, but he didn't really run enough to actually hurt them.
No, exactly. Like, he didn't string a lot of big plays like he normally does.
Exactly.
And, yeah, man.
That first touchdown that the Niners scored, that flea flicker. Yeah. Like, oh my God, I felt like that ball just when Purdy passed the ball to Jennings. I felt like that ball that Jennings passed to McCaffrey must have stayed in the air for like 30 seconds.
Roger, I am 100% with you.
The whole time.
It's Roger. It's one of those plays where it's like, if they would have caught on, they would have been going back the other way.
1,000%, absolutely 100%.
It's literally because they didn't expect that to happen, so that's why it got through. But anyhow, one person would have been like, no, he's behind the line of scrimmage. Let me peel back. Exactly. That ball was going the opposite way. Because you're right. Why would you throw a freaking screen pass across the field?
My God, it was crazy. I did not see that coming, but I knew something was wrong. Right when Jennings caught the ball, he was so far behind the line of scrimmage. He was like 10 yards. I was like, "What is this?" Yep. It has to be. He has to be passing it. Yep. And I figured he'd be passing it forward. I never even dreamed that he'd be passing it basically 40 yards. 20 yards.
40 yards sideline to sideline. Like,
oh my God. I was holding my breath the whole time. And then when McCaffrey jumped up and grabbed it at the last minute, I was like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
You know once he caught it, you were okay.
Yeah, exactly.
There was literally only 2 defenders there to stop him. And both those guys were being blocked. So I was like, okay, that's solid. But I mean,
I wanted to touch on something. I don't know if you guys were watching this part of the game, but Greenlaw, the linebacker, 57.
Oh my God!
If I could tell you that I was not surprised that he was going to do something to somebody or himself before the game was out.
He was too amped.
Mikey, what? I was on my chat group. Like I'm in 2 chat groups. I was in both of them. I was like, what the hell just happened? This guy literally got injured coming back on the field. He was just so hyped up. And he pulled something in his leg. I was like, what kind of voodoo is this, man?
Brethren, but I hope you were watching his first 2 tackles.
He was like out of his mind.
He tackled the dude and punched the dude in his chest.
No, really? I didn't know.
The next one, Brethren, the next tackle, he kicked the dude, but he didn't get called for it. I go, this dude is way too hyped. And then you see him trying to get onto the field. His knee's gone. Like the way he buckled, he has ACL or PCL or meniscus.
Oh no, I don't think it was. I think they said it was his Achilles. I think he blew his Achilles.
Even worse. Even worse.
They said something. They just said it was a lower leg injury. I don't know.
I think they did say Achilles. I think they said it was an Achilles injury.
The way he jumped up, it looked like his leg buckled. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think it was his Achilles because he could bend his knee.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is though, I saw his knee stop. So, but the thing is, when you're dealing with turf, that field turf, when your leg stops, everything is buckling. So you don't know what's really getting injured. Everything's probably getting injured. He probably tore his calf, tore his Achilles, but anyways, this man was on one.
You know what? I did see that even like pregame and stuff. He was overly amped. Like he was like on Ritalin. He was on Ritalin, just like on Adderall.
Everything. He had speed, freaking.
He was like Latimer from the program.
Exactly.
You
lost your mind, baby.
It was out of control, man.
Starting lineup. Yo, he was way too amped up, man.
Way
This guy was filled
too
with
amped up, my
adrenaline
G. Oh my God, man.
cocaine. I don't know what was in his.
Yo,
Yeah.
well, hey, they are in Vegas, so
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
Oh
Jesus
man.
Murphy, man. Oh,
Man,
No,
oh, man.
that was wild. Like so. I mean, here's the question: do you guys think that my Niners need to take a sea bath or like float in holy water before games? Because what the hell was that? We were under the blue tent so much.
oh my gosh,
It was
yo.
crazy.
Yo,
When I
they
saw,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say when I saw Debo go down, I was like, "You got to be
Oh.
kidding me, man!"
Yeah.
I was like, "It's bad enough with Greenlaw because I'm like, he's one of our most important defensive players, and
Yeah.
you knew at a certain point in time we're gonna need him late in the game, and that's what started happening. Like Kelsey started to go off a little bit because Greenlaw
Yep.
wasn't there.
Exactly.
Like they started just attacking his backup.
Yep.
So many people went into that little blue tent, man. Kittle
Yeah,
at
that
one point. I think even was it Trent Williams at one point. I think
Yeah,
it
another
was an
old
old line,
lineman
but I
went
can't remember
down.
which one it was. But
Yeah,
it was like just people were just going in and out of that blue tent. But obviously it's a Super Bowl, so they're like,
yeah.
back in here. You know?
Yeah, there's a bit of echo there. Okay, let me see. Okay, I guess it's gone. But yeah, no, you're right. Like I didn't understand what was happening. I'm like, is there something with the turf? And I'm like, why does it happen in Kansas City? How come nobody else is going on Kansas? Nobody else is slipping on turf?
Calvin, San Francisco and their injuries, man. San Francisco and their injuries. What I can say is they did manage to last the whole season without any major injuries, which is new for Kansas City because most I just remember a few years ago when like all their running backs got injured within like three game span, and they were literally bringing people off of the practice squad.
Yeah,
People were just kind of going like, and then 4 years ago, Brock Purdy got injured.
last year, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Last year, last year, Brock Purdy got injured. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like they were right there. Like they had their chance.
Yeah.
And if there was ever a time where Mahomes was vulnerable, it would have been now.
It was, yeah.
And they did everything right. Defensively, they played amazing. Their offense played really well aside from a few turnovers. And those turnovers cost them the game. Like even that punt return that got fumbled by McLeod.
Yeah, but it went off his.
It went off somebody's foot, so McLeod didn't have a choice. But he should have dove on the ball. What are you trying to pick it up for? Like you got 5 guys around you. Drop on the ball. Don't try and pick it up, man. Come on now.
It's like football 101.
Football 101. Come on, man. Don't do that. That hurt because that gave KC their first touchdown, and that gave them. It was like a complete momentum swing. After that, it was like everything just started swinging towards KC's way.
And that's sports, man. It's all like, especially when you get to this stage at this level, championship games, it's like it's all momentum.
It is.
Once the momentum starts swinging, like it's hard for the team to stop that wave. Especially when the nerves and the mental game kicks in after that.
It's psychological.
It's tough to reverse that.
It's psychological. That's what it is. It's psychological.
100%. I know Mikey remembers this. This is the first time I'm sharing this, but Mikey remembers this story. You know what I'm going to say, right? Is Mikey know what I'm going to say?
I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay. So, 1995. 1995 provincial championship. Provincials in Montreal. My team was Centennial. We were playing. I forgot the name of the team we were playing. Was it Exubery? I can't remember the name of the team we was playing at the time. And same thing. Just as I mean, there's so many examples. I'm just giving my personal example of that of momentum, seeing it in real time. We were down, Roger, 25 points halfway through the third quarter, and we came back and won the game by a point.
Wow!
And Mikey. Well, I guess he went off the thing for a second, but I'm like, but Mikey I think he was courtside at the game because Father Mac had made provincials. So I think, it's one of those things you're just waiting, like you're there to watch the last game. And Mikey can tell you that team was so confident when they're up 25. Nope. When we got it to about 10 and it was about like halfway through the fourth, you saw everybody's face. Like you couldn't take a blade of grass and put it up, you know what I'm saying? Put it up their hole. Put up any orifice in their body. You know what I mean? You could see it. And at that point, it was like, oh, we got him. The only thing we were playing against was time. like that was it, the shot clock or whatever, like the game clock. That's all we were playing against at that point. You know what I mean? So it's like, do we have enough time to make it? But other than that, it was like those guys are gone. Like momentum, you could see at that moment the crowd's going crazy. It's like their brain was just fried.
Yep.
Oh, perfect example. Atlanta Super Bowl. What was it? Super Bowl.
Right.
When the Patriots went against Atlanta in 2019 or was it 2020? I can't remember. 28-3.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter. Perfect example. It was like a wave just hit. They just hit Atlanta. And suddenly Patriots, everything they did was just gold. Everything.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the pass was. Everything that happened was just like a wave of momentum that just couldn't be stopped. All the way down to like the last play of the win for the Super Bowl. Momentum is everything in this game.
Momentum is everything. I was just telling him the story about the provincial game where I was like when we were down 25 and we came back and won, and I was saying that when we got to about 10 and I was like, I could look on the guy's face and see everybody's face was like they were lockjawed, like they were gone. And I remember at that point we were like, okay, we're just playing against the clock.
They're broken. Yeah. They're broken. Psychologically, they were broken.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe it, and they were too much in shock. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Coaches same thing with the coaches.
Yeah.
They're
you don't know how to game plan against a storm. The momentum is everything in sports, man. Like when you get to this level, it's like you get to championship game, playoff games. It's like in every sport, it's momentum. If you give a team a chance, especially who knows what they're doing, man. So that's what was making me nervous about this game, because I kept saying to myself, like, man, like if we got to get this cushion is not big enough. We just got to get like another TD. If we can get another TD, I'm like, Kansas City is not good enough, because Kansas City right now, at least with this team, the parallels with the Patriots is crazy. The later day Patriots is crazy, but like towards the end with the Patriots, they were dinking and dunking you to death. You know what I'm saying? Like everything had to be perfectly executed, and because they had the weapons and they had Brady, it was always like they were never going like over the top. It was like 15 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards. You know what I mean? And that's who Kansas City became this year. You know what I mean? So I was like, so I'm saying all this to say, like, I didn't feel like they had a chance if we're up 2 touchdowns. I felt like we would have had that momentum defensively, and they would not have had enough to make that up in a short span of time. But
I think that's why the comparisons to Tom Brady are happening. It's because Mahomes has that control over his offense like Brady does. You knew that, like, if you left too much time on the clock needing 6 points to win, 7 points to win or tie or whatever, he was going to come down and do it, because he had control over the game and the offense. And like you said, Cal, you saw him smirk because it was like, we're good. We're good. We're fine. We have more than enough time. And now that they're playing man now, I can run too. Oh yeah, don't worry, we're good. Yo, that fourth their 4th and 1 was one of the most confident plays I've ever seen. In that type of situation, run and complete. It didn't look like it was a 4th and 1 play. It looked like it was a 1st and 10 play that they were just doing as their first down play. Like, talk about momentum shift. They were just like, oh yeah, we've got time. What we're going to do is we're going to score and not leave any time on the clock.
That smirk represented, all it represented was, we've been here before.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been here before.
Yes.
We're okay.
Yeah, we're fine. Like, this is, guys, we know what to do.
Yeah, I agree. I can't disagree with any of that. I mean, Mahomes has been there. The whole team has been there. What kills me is that at one point I even heard the sportscaster say that the only person that was still on that defense from when they beat San Francisco 4 years ago was Chris Jones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody else
is new.
Basically second-year players, whole bunch of third-year players. Like, to build a defense that quickly within the past like 3 to 4 years, or actually the past 2 years, I would say, because this year they were dominant. Last year they were good. This year they were dominant, like top 3 dominant. I don't know, man. I don't know who's gonna beat them. Like, who's gonna knock them off that pedestal next year? All you're gonna be hearing about is three-peat. That's all you're gonna be hearing about. Nothing else.
But they're not wrong. They had one of the most lackluster years.
Yeah.
That like with it, like after being in all these playoffs and all these and getting to the Super Bowl, this is one of their most like years where you're just like, okay, somebody's gonna knock them off.
Yeah.
And nobody could find a way.
Nobody can knock them off. Miami couldn't do it.
No,
Miami had the run game, didn't execute the run game. They couldn't do it defensively, and plus the cold, they couldn't handle it.
They
You
couldn't
know what I
handle
mean? The Bills couldn't do it.
Nope.
You know, you saw the Ravens couldn't do it. We tried running. We were running successful for a while. I thought we did kind of go away from it a little bit in the second half.
I was gonna say that earlier too. I thought we did. I thought we kind of went away from it. And their other back, I thought they should have went back and forth like they were doing. There was a couple of games that I've watched.
With Mitchell.
And they went back and forth with them because that it kept McCaffrey fresh. And they were getting hit with like wasn't even thunder or lightning. It was like lightning and flash. Why aren't you doing that?
Yeah. I was a little disappointed in that. I'm not sure why exactly they all of a sudden turned away from the run. And there was about 3 series in the second quarter where it was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and they were just trying to pass the ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have a run game, like start using it. And I feel like towards the end of the towards the end of the third quarter, they started running the ball again. And I was like, okay, cool. They're picking it up now. Perfect. They learned from their mistake. That's good. But by then it was like just too much has happened. And I mean, this year they were vulnerable.
Yeah.
Next year, there's a whole bunch of free agent wide receivers that are out there, whether it's Mike Evans. There's Mike Evans. There's who else is up?
Diggs could be traded.
Diggs could be traded.
There's a lot of wide receivers coming in the draft.
And isn't Diggs asking for a trade right now too? Like he's saying, put me on the free agency block.
Yeah, see the thing is, I don't know if the Bills are going to trade somebody like that to Kansas City. You know what I mean?
I don't think they would, but the problem is that I think I read somewhere that Diggs is going to be $28 million towards the cap this year, right? And that might be the only reason why they might cut him or might try and trade him. Just because he's sucking up so much money, and then towards the end of the season, he basically disappeared, and it was no fault of his own.
Yeah, because they just ran like crazy
from the pass, and they decided they were just going to run the ball, and then they had Kincaid step up, and and then what's his name came back, their other pass catching tight end. I don't know what they're going to do next year, and that's the thing. But what I do know is that there's tons of wide receivers in the draft this year. Like there's studs. And then with all the free agents out there, even free agent running backs, there's Eckler, there's Henry, there is Eckler, Henry, Jacobs. There's so many guys out there that are just, if Kansas City wants to bring it back a third time, what's stopping them from picking up Austin Eckler and having him be their third down catching back?
The thing that makes it scary is you're on point with that. Number one, I mean, there isn't enough alcohol in this drink right now for me to. I don't know. I gotta get another drink. The other part though is honestly they don't necessarily even need to get a receiver. Like them right now, if they can get a good or great running back, like remember before when once what's his name again, Kareem Hunt, once he left, like they never had a really great running back again after that. But I'm like, if they go back and get that, I'm like, they might be good.
Pacheco, I think Pacheco's good
though. He is
a good running back.
Yeah,
but he's not the complete player that Hunt was. Hunt could catch the ball, run the ball. Yeah. He could go on the inside. He could go on the outside. Like he was absolutely phenomenal. He was like a do-it-all sort of back. Pacheco, not as much. Like he could run the ball through the numbers, amazing. Like he's great. But then they have to bring in McKinnon on third downs usually as they're catching back. But I mean, like I said, if you're not going to beat them this year, when the hell are you guys going to beat them? Like, I don't know. Like, we're literally just waiting for somebody to retire at this point, waiting for maybe Kelsey to retire, maybe Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I don't know, because how are you going to stop these guys? It's crazy. And Mahomes is only 28 years old.
I know this could keep going for a while. On the flip side,
He's
though,
going for a long time, man.
On the flip side, though, what moves do you think San Francisco has to do now to get back to the Super Bowl again? Because I think we can kind of just run this back.
I think so too.
I honestly believe it, because you guys were, you really didn't have any issues on either side of the ball. You have a great back. You have a great fullback who's like a tight end.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we forget about him, and I think they forget about him too. I think if they used him a little bit more, that could have opened up some more doors. Right?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is a middle-class Tom Brady.
Yeah. It's hard to gauge what this guy is, honestly, man.
I'm only saying that because of where he came from. His very humble beginnings, and that's the only reason why I say a middle-class Tom Brady. But the thing is, he's going to need more time, because he's not like one of those guys that knows that, I'm supposed to be here. He's working his way to say that, hey, I'm supposed to be here. That mental part, he's going to take a big step next year after this run, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Control the team and whatnot, right? I think he already has probably great respect from his teammates and whatnot, But I feel like they have all the pieces. So I'm with you, Cal. I think they're ready to run it back. I don't think they really need to add anything. My only question is, how old is Kittle?
Yeah, Kittle, he's getting up there a little bit.
Yeah, right? Kittle probably be he'll probably be 29, 30 probably by next year, I think. I mean, even with Kittle, he really didn't do much today anyways, to be honest with you.
Did a lot of blocking.
He did a lot of blocking, which is fine. I mean, tight ends block. Yeah, that's cool. He didn't really do much. I think with Brock Purdy, I hope he takes that step next year.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest issue I have with Brock Purdy is he's good enough to start, but I don't know if he's good enough to win a Super Bowl. And that, I feel like that kind of leaves you guys in limbo. He needs to get better. He does need to get better. But then it's at one point, everybody thought he could be possibly an MVP. He had 3 really bad games. Trent Williams went down. McCaffrey went down. And in those 3 games, he didn't play well at all. And then people were saying all this shit about, he's a game manager, blah, blah, blah. He played kind of good in the playoffs. He had one really good game against I think it was Green Bay, but then he kind of disappeared. I don't know. It's difficult because I feel like your team could go back to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they're going against Mahomes again. I don't know if they're going to win. Just flat out, I don't know if they're going to win. I feel like he's good enough to start and he's good enough to get you guys there. I just don't know if he's going to get you guys over that hump, because even today, man, there were some passes that he missed.
Yeah.
And he should have made those passes. There were some open players that he could have hit, and he didn't do it.
So, before you keep going, I got to shout out some people here. Shout out to Batch. Shout out to Shem. Shout out to Kevin W., South Shore Ave family member. Shout out to Keo. These are the ones that are on Instagram, by the way. Shout out to JF. JF, what up? Batch, Seahawks, go F yourself. Lucy Sunday, what's up? Harry was good. Sheldon, what's up? But honestly, man, it's the way the NFC is right now. I mean, you never know what the offseason is going to bring, but outside of Philly, I would say, right now, I think we can go back right now, because just the way the team is structured, we don't have to pay Brock Purdy money right now. And his stock is going to go up, being that he was a MVP finalist. It's going to go up, right? So, but he's only in his second year, so we don't have to pay him right now. He's not up for extension yet. Next year he will be, but not right now.
Yeah, he has one more year because he was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah,
he has one more year where you guys do not have to pay him. But the question is, what's going to happen after that?
That's the $1 million question, right?
You pay this guy $40 million.
So that's why I think that's a big part of the reason why we can bring everybody back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't have to pay that QB money yet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
then
mean?
there's Ayuk. He's going to want to get paid at some point. I'm not sure if he's up on contract this year or probably I think it might be next year.
Next year, yeah.
But he's going to be looking at 28 million, 25, anywhere from 25 to 30 million. That's probably what he's going to want. And they're going to have to pay him and Debo at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah. But right now, contractually, everybody's in a good place where we don't have to really worry. Dallas has to pay people. Philly's going to have to start paying some people. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody in the NFC South or anybody in actually Detroit's going to be back again.
Lines look good.
Lines look good. So they're the other ones you probably have to really worry about too. Yeah. And Dallas, but until they can get over that hump themselves, I'm not really worried about them anymore. But I think Philly and the Lions are the ones right now where you're like, okay, like you got to try to gear up for what's about to happen there.
I'm telling you, I feel like if the Lions, we all know this, if they had kicked that damn field goal, this playoffs would be totally different.
I agree completely, 100%. It would have been a completely different game.
Like I mean, I've listened to the commentators. Coach likes to do. He likes to go for it on fourth down. But this is where I start to believe in the hype about the NFL being rigged and it being about entertainment, because it's like you as a coach, Roger, Cal. Yeah, okay, we know like I'm a gunslinger and I wanna aim high and shoot big and whatnot, but this is the chance to put this city into a place where they've never been before.
Not once.
So your thought process has to kind of change, where it's like, you know what? Yeah, I normally would do this, but hey, I need to be smart about this decision here. Let's get some points on the board and make sure that we're doing the strategy should shift a little bit. And to see that not happening, like it was just like, what's really going on here? Yeah. Like, do the smartest thing to make sure that your team could stay alive and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Pressure burst pipes, man.
You know, like it really hurt me because, you know, like playing football for over 30 years, right? I've like given like my body up, and Roger could attest to it. You know, we've like this sport is not a joke, right? And to see that like it's potentially going in a way where it's like people want to orchestrate how things are going to pan out, when football as a sport is the most
team oriented
sport. You cannot tinker with it. Everybody has to be online, like on the same accord, so that you could even just run a simple play.
Yeah.
A handoff is not a dive up the middle is not just a dive up the middle. No. If your line is not blocking who they're supposed to block, if you as a quarterback, if I as a quarterback don't turn the right way, if Rodgers, a running back, doesn't come down straight or he angles to the left, the whole play is gone. And it's like, that's the beauty of this sport. So I have a little bit of frustration with how I've seen a lot of things happen this year with the game, you know?
And excuse me. And what hurts too with the Niners is because I think it's hard. I'm not saying it's hard to bounce back, but like, you know, last year we made it all the way to the conference championship. And, you know, once Brock Purdy got his elbow torn, it was like the game wasn't the game anymore against the Eagles. But I felt like this whole season we've been on a mission. Like the Niners have just been on a straight mission to come back to the Super Bowl. Like the way they played, the way they carried themselves pregame. You know, I remember in Cleveland, they almost got into a brawl like right before the game started. Like the way their energy was the whole season, it was like, we're coming, like we are not, like we think we're the best team in the league. We just got our QB just got hurt. We're coming back. And they did it. They came back. But when you come to this close and you get to overtime and then you lose, like yo, it's hard, man. That it's hard to. I'm not saying it's impossible to bounce back. You can do it, and they're built to do it. It's just that loss is tough.
Listen, and if anything, it's more psychological than anything else.
Right.
What happens if they go and they play the Chiefs again next year in the Super Bowl?
Yep.
The amount of pressure that's going to be on them, and it's from the top down. It's not even just the players. It's the coaches. It's you know, Shanahan. It's Wilkes. everybody's gonna feel it because it's gonna be like we're in the Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. 2 years in a row, are we gonna lose to Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's like Buffalo Bill territory back in like the late '90s when they were losing to Dallas, and it's like they just couldn't get over the hump. They just kept getting back to the Super Bowl, and they just couldn't do it. And I feel like it was more pressure than anything else. It was just the pressure of, it was just the pressure of being there, being in the big game again, and being on the biggest stage in the world with the most eyeballs on you, and just not being able to produce like that. Yeah. That in itself it's like a mountain on your shoulders. Forget regular season. It's you play this game to win the Super Bowl. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I don't care if I don't care if you had a perfect season. Nobody's going to remember that. They're going to remember that you lost in the Super Bowl again to Patrick Mahomes for the second time in the past 4 years. That's what they're going to remember.
Yeah. Also, never compare us to the Bills. Couple of things you got to wrap up before we go. Oh, my middle fingers just wanted to. They're just creeping. They're just creeping.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hard insult. That's a hard insult. Two things before we wrap up. What y'all think about the Usher performance?
Wicked.
That's good.
Wicked. I can't lie. I thought he got a little bit tired at the end because he didn't have that exuberance that he had. I don't know if anybody else saw that. Man looked like he wanted to fall asleep. He said, "Yo, I did the first 20 songs, and then after that."
There's only so much glides you can do in a 45-year-old body.
That's the thing, man. Yo, this guy came straight from Vegas, man. Fact. This guy works for his money.
Yo.
Honestly, I felt like it was a great show. Like, I think technical things, that wasn't his fault. Like, the mic wasn't working, so you couldn't hear him singing some of the songs at the beginning. Right. You know what I mean? The first maybe 5 minutes or so, you can see that. I think they ended up giving him a mic after because it was like they couldn't hear him, or we couldn't hear him, I should say. But I also think too, like, it's basically what I expected. Like, the way Usher's been kind of like taking over the culture last year, especially with the residency in Vegas, and he was breaking up relationships for singing to women, and that whole residency was a cultural thing. It became a huge cultural impact, right? So, like, him now doing the Super Bowl, I'm like, oh well, this is like a layup for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to see what he did, the camera work was amazing. The dancers, all the choreography, it was almost like a flying circus at times. You had the band, it was dope. Like, having Little John and like on top of the mosh pit with the cameras following him, like angle, like that was dope. Like, it was what you expected. You know what I mean? And it's a smart business move for him because, number one, I think his album might have dropped right now. His new album, I think, might have dropped right now. His ticket sales for his tour go on sale tomorrow morning. This is perfect. You know what I mean? You're already talking about the Super Bowl performance anyway, right? But now you got an album to drop to go with that. Your streams are already going to go up. That's going to take the impact of that too with new material, plus your old material, and your tour is launching tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
it's a perfect business move. It's a win. It's an all-around win for Usher.
It was a pure show, and when I say it's a pure show, it was like, I found all aspects of the show was great. They didn't have a whole bunch of different special effects. Like, last year, I loved the show too. I mean, Dr. Dre.
Was it Dr. Dre too? Who was it last year? I don't think it was Dr. Dre too. Was it Rihanna? I can't remember.
Was it Rihanna or Dr. Dre last year?
It was Rihanna. No, I was thinking it was Rihanna.
It was Rihanna? Okay, sorry. My bad. I must be talking about the Super Bowl before that. Yeah. You remember the one where they had the huge floating stage? Or maybe I'm getting them mixed up. They had like a massive floating stage.
Yeah, I think that was Rihanna.
That was Rihanna. Okay, my bad.
Last year.
Yeah, that was last year. Yeah. I just found like the music was fantastic. I love the artists that he brought on. The choreography was great. I love the circus theme. I even liked the part where they were roller skating. I thought that was pretty cool, and they were dancing on roller skates. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Jan, what up? Keep going. Jan, what up?
Sorry, was that?
No, I said I just shouting out somebody on Instagram here. Jan, what's going on? What's up? Thank you for following. But go on, keep going.
Yeah, I just found it was a great show. Like musically, the choreography, everything was just fantastic. It was really, really good. Kudos to
So a couple of us were at the keg watching. They had booked out a little area for us because a couple of people that we know work there at the keg in Brampton. So shout out to them. And we were trying to guess what was going to be his first song that he's gonna perform, right? How he's gonna open up, and he has a discography that is so deep that we forgot songs that he performed that were like, oh my God, like he could have opened it up in any which direction. So yeah, like every part of that show from top to bottom was amazing. Like, and it took you like we're having people clapping along with us in the keg in Brampton because the songs are bangers. Like this is like, you know, Cal, our conversation that we were talking about going to clubs and partying with really good music.
Yeah,
this was that. You got a party halfway through a Super Bowl game. Like, very well done.
Very well done.
Yeah, I was very happy with how the performance went down.
Yeah, and I don't. To be honest with you, I'm really not that interested in the halftime show. My wife watches it for the halftime show. That's the only reason why she watches the game. And she
like most women are casual fans, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm actually convinced that the whole point of the halftime show is to make sure that a lot of the women actually watch the show. Not to say that most of them don't like football, but you know, my wife knew Usher was the headliner of the show before I even knew that. I only found that out a few days ago. I don't care about the halftime show. I just want to watch football. I want to watch a great game. Yeah, but I mean, they put on a great show since Jay-Z took over. The management of the halftime shows. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
I don't know if I put this above Dre and Snoop. I don't know if I put it above Dre and Snoop.
That was amazing. That one was
the Dre and Snoop one
that brought me back to my youth, man.
Yeah.
Watching those guys there, like that was Eminem. Like he brought everybody out.
Yeah.
That was
it was really good. It was really good. So last thing before I cry myself to sleep, what is the where do you guys see the Super Bowl going next year? Like who do you think from now? This is super early predictions, but who do you think it would be based on what you've seen this year? We know off season's coming, we know the draft is coming, we know injuries is gonna happen, but for right now, the super early predictions, can you see these two coming back again, or do you see somebody knocking one of these guys off, if not both?
Well, I have no reason to believe the Chiefs won't be there. So I think the Chiefs will definitely return. I think there's a good chance the Niners might return if there's no injuries.
Yeah, if there's no injuries.
If it's a situation where Debo gets injured, Ayuk gets injured, I don't know if Brock would be able to survive that. I like the Lions. I feel like the Lions learned a very valuable lesson this year in the playoffs. If there was any team that I think might possibly be able to make it, it would probably be Detroit. And I feel like everybody would be rooting for them against whoever they go against, just because Detroit is like the ultimate underdog. Like, it's not a bigger underdog story than the city of Detroit, which is basically run down. Never made it to a Super Bowl before, never won a Super Bowl. You know, everybody would be behind them, regardless of who they go against.
They would definitely become America's the new America's team if they win a Super Bowl. Because that's the epitome of like what they call the American dream, to work your ass off to get to the top end. You know what I mean? So I'm with you with that. Yeah, 100%. I think to add to Baltimore, still very much contenders, right? I'm an Eagles fan, right? I'm kind of nervous for them though, because the downhill trajectory that they took this year,
it wasn't good.
Like, I don't know what's really happening right now. I think you might need to rejudge a couple of things because the math is not mathing right now. Like, it was bad. It was
And it wasn't like any big injuries or anything like that, or like it was just a weird downturn. It was actually, to be honest, it was after that Niners game. Like when we went in there and beat them, it was like after that, it was like because I was like, okay, well, we beat them, we got them, like we'll probably get home field advantage, but it's probably going to be the two of us. So we're like, both teams are basically gearing for each other. But by the time the regular season ended, it was like, yo, are they going to beat Tampa Bay? Like, you know what I mean? It was a weird turn.
I don't know what happened to Philly. Like, I feel like that's a mystery.
Yep, 100%.
At time, somebody's got to come and tell me what the hell happened. Like, somebody needs to come out with a book or something. I feel like there's something going on in that locker room that they're not talking about. I don't know if Hurts is beefing with, beefing with his whole O-line. Like, I don't know. Somebody needs to explain to me how one team could take a nosedive that badly within the span of 8 games. Like, it's right. Like they were everybody's Super Bowl champions for the first half of the season.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the defense and the offense started playing like shit.
Just fell apart.
It's like, no injuries, what the hell, man?
Really good call. That there definitely seems like something happened in the locker room that is spilling over into the play, and it just was just like irreversible. It became like quicksand because it just didn't make sense. They started every year for the last how many years just like on a great strong note where you're just like, oh frick, it's the Eagles again. The Eagles were starting to become like what the Chiefs were.
Yeah.
Didn't win one, like with the new regime. And now it's just like I don't even know if we're gonna be able to like have a decent season next year. Because this is a bad slide.
It was a bad fly. It was bad enough for them to basically they went through 2 defensive coordinators.
Right.
They put Matt what's his name? Matt Patricia in as their defensive coordinator, which shit, man, that screams to me desperation if anything does. Like this guy basically went to Detroit and he shit up that whole team so badly that as soon as they basically replaced them, all of a sudden these guys are like a playoff team now. Like, I don't know what happens, man. I don't know what happened. Like, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
They look like a shell themselves towards they basically crawled into the playoffs and they were
weird.
Make it in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was odd. It was odd how they fell apart. And then if Kelsey retires, I think even though he's getting older, that's going to be a huge loss.
Kelsey's gone.
That whole tush push thing starts with him.
Yeah,
he's done for sure.
Yeah, he's done for sure. You already said he's done.
Like he's chilling.
Yeah,
and if that's the case, then I think Philly takes a step back because I mean that's hard. I mean that's an all-pro center still. That the whole tush push thing starts with him.
Yep, it does.
He's not the tallest old lineman, so he gets the leverage every time. Like the tallest center, I mean, so he gets that leverage all the time.
And he's the one who calls the offensive coverages too. He's the one who calls the offensive line plays.
Right, that's right.
I don't know if you guys even noticed that. Like there was a few times where Hurts called a play and Kelsey was like, no. We're gonna call this.
Yep.
in the last playoff game. So he's the one who basically calls the coverages, right?
Yeah, that's a huge loss.
And that's a huge loss, man. That's a massive loss. That's like the captain of your offense almost, right? So I don't know, man.
I think if I'm being a little bit biased, but I think the Niners have a great chance to go back just because of the reasons I laid out before. Like you don't have to pay Purdy, so and nobody's under like I'm sure there's some free agents that I'm not locking into at the second, but it's not anybody major that's going to be leaving right now. Like you could run this back at least one more year before you have to give Purdy that money. Then you have to start restructuring everybody's contract and all that stuff. And I think the Eagles, not the Eagles, but the Lions are like, they're right there. It's now what the Lions have to deal with is being the hunted now because they were the hunters, you know what I mean, for so long, and that's great. But you know that thing flips when now you're the team everybody's targeted. So how they respond to that is going to be something that bears watching next year. But I think the Niners are like, we can come back from this. I think. In the AFC side, I don't see Kansas City not being back there either. But there's a team that I think that can take them down if they're healthy, which is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think if Burrows is healthy,
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
But that's if they're healthy. Burrow is like,
But if he's healthy to beat the playoffs, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not to say Kansas City didn't beat him before, but Burrows is a problem, man.
he is when he's healthy.
He is a problem.
Yeah.
So,
which is like every second season. Every second season he's healthy. And plus, I don't know if you guys know this, but whoever that quarterback is who stepped in for Burrow, I can't remember his name, but he was actually amazing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was. He was I don't know if he was a rookie or not.
I think it's Browning or something.
Browning, he came in the past 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
And I watched this guy. He looked really, really solid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not to say
they already paid Burrows all that money, so
they did. But he has to stay healthy. He has to stay healthy. Like, I don't know what's up with this guy, but I feel like every second season this guy's injured.
But I think that's the team that's going to give, like, Buffalo's going to be there a little bit, depending on what they do this offseason. But I think Cincinnati's the one where you're like, I don't know.
On the NFC side, I like Green Bay.
Yes.
I like Green Bay, man. That's a young team, and they're a bunch of ballers, man.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
I'm thinking just because of the little push that they made, and now after his journeyman of a career, he's finally settling in. I think Tampa Bay is a team that we have to start looking out for as well.
Yeah.
That kid, Baker Mayfield, he is a gamer.
I got to give him his props this year.
Yeah. So I feel like, if they could retain Evans or add to it.
Yeah.
Right?
And they might be able to retain Evans because Evans doesn't really want to go. He's been there his whole career. He's won there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
he wants to stay there.
The team's solid. He wants to stay. So we'll see. They have a pretty good chance of keeping him. But go on.
But the problem is that they have to pay. They're going to have to pay Mayfield. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Mayfield, I can't remember what was his contract. His contract was something like $5 million this year or something really, really low. Right. So now that he brought them to the playoffs, he's going to be looking for $40-45 million and probably a long-term contract too. I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him and pay Evans at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Evans is still – I feel like he's still the cornerstone of that offense. I mean –
he is.
This guy's 30 years old. How many touches does he have? 13 touchdowns this year.
He was crazy this year.
1,000 yards. Like, he was
crazy.
Catching everything this year, man, more than anybody else. Because I even feel like, what was his name, Godwin? I felt like Godwin kind of faded off a little bit. Mm-hmm. Whereas, he was like the next up-and-comer. And then Evans, I don't think anybody saw Evans' rise coming. But then again, the guy, 9 straight seasons. I think it was 9 straight seasons with 1,000 yards.
Yeah. It's legit.
That's insane. That's crazy.
It's legit. It's a good call with Tampa, Mikey. That's a good call.
Yeah.
It's but it's the same thing. I think Greenfield's a great call. Green Bay is a great call as well. I said Greenfield like it was a Greenfield.
Yeah. I love No Shore. I feel like No Shore. Yeah. Youth has their chance too.
Oh man, but no, you're right. I think the other team I will throw in there is Houston too because they're in the same.
Oh yes, you know what?
Yeah,
I love my CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
and let's be honest, the way his players talk about him, he's already got them bought into him as a man and as now their leader. You heard I don't know if you heard this, but one of his teammates said, "Yo, that kid, he's that guy." They ran a test and they said that they checked his blood and it was all ice in his veins. And he said it so serious. I was like thrown off because they're like, what's that?
He's got ice water in his veins. Listen,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say what CJ Stroud did this year was just phenomenal. He literally took a team that was basically bottom of the barrel last year. They didn't really do very many changes. No. They just brought in Singletary, and I think they might have brought in another wide receiver. They drafted Tank Dell, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
But he took basically the same roster they had last year, where they were in last place because they picked him up in I think he was the second. I think he was like the second player off the board.
Yeah.
He turned them into a championship team.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that just goes to show you how good. If you pick up the right quarterback, he could literally turn your team around.
Yep.
Nico Collins. Who the fuck was Nico Collins before this guy came?
Right.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, 1,000 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns. It's like it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is, man. That kid, like, he's really poised. Like, he's ready now.
He is.
It shows, So
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Well, we'll wrap up this live stream, man. First of probably many more this year. I'm trying to get back on my live stream game. I should say trying to. We'll be on my live stream game this year. So, thank you guys for playing a part in the first part of that, man. I appreciate y'all for doing that and letting me maturely soak in my inner tears a little bit. It's gonna be outward once I leave this live stream, but for now, I'm gonna be. No, actually, I'm not gonna be okay. I'm not gonna be okay. and the reason why I kept this shirt on is because I don't know if you guys can see this here, but Patrick Willis, just got nominated for Hall of Fame today, so I had to represent him, man. I had to represent. I had to do it. So, I'm a Niner guy, man. It was either this or my Kaepernick jersey, but I was like, I had to represent with Patrick Willis, man. Like that was my dude.
Yeah.
So,
kudos to him.
He
deserved it.
Absolutely. Absolutely deserved that. What up, Jalen? What up? What's going on? Big game yesterday, man. Keep shooting.
Catch, man.
Yes. But yeah, no, man. Like I said, I appreciate y'all, man, for hopping on, man. Much love to both of you guys, and we'll do this again sooner than later.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, Kelsey.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Peace out.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir.
Later.